Minglabar and Happy Myanmar New Year, everyone. Welcome to MR Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. The government has banned public gatherings, including the Thingyan celebration, and action against those disrupting precautions and restrictions to be taken in accord with regional order during this period. A global pandemic and domestic tourism and hotel booking for Thingyan holidays. While staying home, how to take care during Thingyan, changing health issues. And a story coverage on the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China donating 150,000 disposable medical masks to Ministry of Health and Sports. All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. The Yangon region government began distributing the 5 basic household supplies to over 600,000 households in the region last Friday. The distribution was carried out by the Luto representatives, General Administration Department staff, elders, municipal development staff, ward or village administrator, and volunteer groups of each township in order to mitigate the chances of spreading COVID-19. Each household will receive the 5 basic supplies of rice, cooking oil, salt, lentil, and onion, and the Yangon region government is also cooperating with interfaith groups and businesses to donate these basic supplies to monasteries, nunneries, homes for the aged, orphanages, and other religious institutions in the region as well. In addition, the charity organization We Love Yangon and other civil society organizations and generous donors are donating similar essentials as well. As the COVID-19 global pandemic has reached every corner of the world, Myanmar, like many other countries, is making rigorous efforts within its limited capacity and resources to contain the outbreak of the new virus, to protect lives and to mitigate the impacts on the socio-economic life of the people under the guidance of the national level Central Committee headed by the State Councillor. The government has taken a whole-of-government approach to respond to the challenges, mobilizing the strength of the people and educating the public about the virus, and seeking public participation, which is pivotal to the success of the national efforts to fight COVID-19. With a view to ensuring that no one is left uncared for, the government is launching an intensive public awareness campaign about the virus and disseminating health guidelines and directives prepared by the Ministry of Health and Sports for all communities throughout the country, including Rakhine and Muslim villages and IDP camps. In the areas where internet data access had to be suspended, the government, in cooperation with the mobile operators, has arranged to disseminate COVID-19 information via mobile SMS services and vocal announcements. In addition, the Ministry of Social Welfare Relief and Resettlement has already put in place an action plan for the control of possible COVID-19 outbreak at the IDP camps, which will be implemented with the assistance of relevant United Nations agencies and international organizations. The government has granted access to ICRC to provide regular food assistance to Mauntor, Buthidown, and Rethertown townships in Rakhine State. In addition, WFP was also granted access to deliver food to the people affected by armed conflict in Sami town of Palawat Township in Chin State during the first week of April. The government is also looking at a possible streamlining of travel authorization procedures for humanitarian organizations to enable them to respond effectively in times of COVID-19 outbreak in conflict-affected areas. The main reason for internet suspension in some parts of Rakhine State is to prevent the misuse of the internet by the AA for their political and military agenda. The AA exploited internet services and social media as a tool for planned attacks, detonating landmines, recruitment, and incitement of hatred among different national races, which could seriously disrupt the national harmony and the government's efforts to restore peace and stability in Rakhine State. Since taking office, the government has made strenuous efforts to advance its national reconciliation and peace process with numerous ethnic armed organizations to end conflicts that have been ongoing for several decades. Despite destructive acts committed by the AA, the government held a series of discussions with the AA on 30th of April 2019 at Nankan on 31st of August 2019 and 17th of September 2019 at Jiangdong and in Kunming, China on 14th of December 2019 respectively. However, the AA only responded with violence. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now. The 2020 Thingyan period clashes with the global pandemic, COVID-19. The government has banned public gatherings, including the Thingyan celebration, with restrictions imposed by the regional governments of Yangon and Mandalay if one purposely interferes in precautions or restrictions on public gathering. The responsible administrators will efficiently take action in accord with the provisions prescribed by the regional order. Here's the report.
Thingyan, the most celebrated and massive water festival of Myanmar, is annually held for 4 to 5 days around the mid-April, the second month of the summer. The colorfully decorated manda dancing to the rhythmic beats of music, and some people are hanging out with a car going around the places where it can be sprayed with water. Children with water guns are spraying water on each other in the streets, and free food distribution are the symbols of Thingyan, the Myanmar New Year. But unfortunately, the 2020 Thingyan period clashes with the global pandemic, COVID-19. Just after the WHO's declaration COVID-19 as pandemic, the Myanmar government has banned the public gatherings, and State Councillor Do Aung San Suu Kyi also urged the public to stay in the house except buying essential items in an effort to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection. In the populous Mandalay, the government has restricted the use of vehicles except for the flow of supplies from 7 to 21st April, and also in Yangon from 10 to 19 April. The Yangon Regional Government Committee on COVID-19 and each township level committees are urging the public to stay indoors instead of going out except for health issues. U Nyinyi, the representative of the Community South constituency, the secretary of Yangon Region Social and Management Committee, told Myanmar Radio that the preparations of the Community South Committee on COVID-19, even for the possible emergency situation.
We have prepared
a hotline number to fulfill the public necessities during the Thingyan period. The public can call this number and can ask for help round the clock, 24 hours. And we have planned to deliver the basic foodstuffs and medicines directly to their home if they don't know where to buy. We also have medical officers standby, so the public can ask for help if the ordinary health issue or suspected ones arise. The committee also includes the regional police and administrative officers, so they are patrolling the streets in the city to safeguard the people. We urge a lot to the public not to go outside if matters are unnecessary. For the case of taking legal action, it will depend on the violation reason for this restriction. But if one purposely interferes our precautions or restriction of public gathering, responsible administrators will effectively take action in accordance with the provisions prescribed in the regional order.
Umyo A, responsible person of number 94 Ward, Regional Office, the Thingyan, said.
We have organized the committees on COVID-19 cooperating with the residents in each and every street in our township. Our township level has been instructed by the regional level committees, and then we give the guidelines to those small committees with residents. Those street level committees guard their respective streets and the public. As soon as we find out those returning from other countries in the community, the committee goes down to the ward, takes the body temperature, checks their history, and takes surveillance measures. Then we report the data to the regional office at the right time.
Thingyan has already turned from massive water festival to stay-home holiday period for the public. But many medical officers, volunteers, as well as rescue teams and more can stay home because they are frontliners and responsible for defending against infection of the coronavirus. Dr. Hemazo is the responsible medical officer of Thingyan Community Quarantine Center, where people who get the coronavirus negative results from Weibogi Specialist Hospital, but they were put still under the investigation. Dr. Hemazo, in charge Dr. Thingyan Community Quarantine Center, said.
Our quarantine center is located at Thingyan. I'm here, the facility quarantine center, since 1st April with the people under investigation. First, we had 14 people for investigation, but now only 3 people left. With the 21-day extension, they have to stay here till 27 April. And of course, we have to stay more. Every year, my husband and I used to prepare our own mandas for my children. But this year, I forget that it is Thingyan and don't listen to Thingyan songs. Whatever we will meet the Thingyan again next year, it is more important that the public is safe from the infection. All the medical officers I have known are serving their responsible duty without complaining, and their attitude is really strong. Even we can stay home during Thingyan, we are tuning in our duty and be mindful.
Ainsley Job, volunteer nurse, Thingyan Community Quarantine Center, said.
Normally in Thingyan, all of our family members used to get together and cook the meals and seasonal desserts. But this year, I am serving as a volunteer nurse in the quarantine center. I can't go back to my family in Gommu. I am missing them, so I talk to them over video call. When I decided to serve as a volunteer, I have already thought that I can't go back to my family during this period. But we will meet Thingyan every year, and I am afraid to get regret for doing nothing for the public when we are needed. That's why I decided to work as a volunteer. As it is an unusual Thingyan for us, I am satisfied with what I am doing this year Thingyan. I wish the public stay at home, spend time with family for this Thingyan.
The year 2020 is a leap year, and Thingyan will last for 5 days in this year. The atmosphere from downtown to rural remains empty with no people, though some Thingyan sounds can be heard from here to there. This is news reporting from Myanmar Radio. I am Pyodiridu.
That's a report on the government that will be taking action against those disrupting precautions and restrictions in accord with regional order during the Thingyan period. All right, we'll carry on with the next report. Although this year has 9 days of holidays for the Thingyan festival, domestic traveling is dropping because of the outbreak of COVID-19 in the world. Since more people go to the beaches during Thingyan, to avoid mass gatherings, tourism to the beaches was banned, which leads to the decrease of the operation rate of hotels. Dora Suzin has more.
Myanmar people usually long for Myanmar's traditional New Year festival, which provides the longest holidays in a year. Thingyan Festival, which is also water throwing festival, is traditionally enjoyed by all the people across the country. For this year Thingyan Festival, there are 9 days off, including the weekends. Thingyan period is also the peak time for domestic tourism and hotel industry. Not only in the big cities, but also the tourist destination places, especially beaches, are full of travelers during Thingyan holidays.
During the Thingyan holiday, a lot of places like the beaches, starting from Ngapali and Chandang, Rezang, will be very much crowded. And secondly, the places like Bagan and of course Mandalay and Inlay, these places are also going to be crowded. But less crowded places may be in the lake. The most crowded place for during Thingyan for last year was Changda Beach.
However, for this year Thingyan Festival, Myanmar government has already stopped the construction of the pandals in big cities in order to avoid mass gatherings because COVID-19 is globally spreading and positive cases have been confirmed in Myanmar. So, the people unfortunately do not get a chance to go around the town and enjoy the stage, and they are likely to stay at home rather than traveling. That leads to a sharp decrease in a hotel booking to drop the operation rate. After the confirmation of positive cases within the country, the traveling to beaches was banned at the last week of March. Ko Aung Nai Tun, who is working as a hotel manager in one of the hotels of Changda Beach, shared his experience.
At the beginning week of March, there are about 10% of hotel booking for Thingyan holidays. Mostly, people start hotel booking from the first week of April. So when the travel to Changda was banned, the hotels give the refund or the travelers postpone the booking. Last year, averagely about 90% of almost all hotels are full of booking.
According to Go Online Tone, there is no mass celebration on the beach areas like building the pandals. However, there are a lot of people enjoying and swimming in the sea, so there is no likelihood to avoid the mass gatherings at the beach during Thingyan.
ပိတ်ရက်ရှည်မှတော့ညှို့လင့်ထားပါတယ်ညှို့လင့်ထားပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်
We have some expectations for this long holiday, but now there are no travelers here. The workers at our hotel work a duty shift. We take care about the cleaning of the whole hotel. That's what we can do now. When the tourism in Changda is banned, not only local hotels and restaurants are affected, but also others from Ayeyarwady region who come to work here, depending on the travelers, do not earn anymore.
For the declined business sector because of COVID-19, the government is also providing financial assistance. In any way, the citizens are supportive to ban the tourism to the beaches, to reduce the mass gatherings, and to prevent the spread of the virus.
As you know, Ministry of Health and Sports have been doing announcement, and with the real time, they are doing the online announcement. Of course, we must be paying attention. We must be very mindful, but should not be over frightened.
That's all about the domestic tourism and hotel booking for the Thingyan holidays of 2020. This is Dora Swizan from MI Radio.
That's a report on domestic tourism and hotel booking for this year's Thingyan holidays. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. During Thingyan, vehicle accidents, fights, overdrinking, heat stroke, and sometimes drowning are common cases, which can cause an influx of patients at hospitals. For this year Thingyan Festival, there will be no mass celebrations as COVID-19 infection is posing a threat to the country. Dora Swizin will tell us more about the health issues to be aware of during Thingyan. Let's have a listen.
Thingyan Festival is magnificently celebrated by all Myanmar people. The huge celebrations are held on a grand scale in all around the country. Water-throwing panels are built, and people go around the town enjoying the water-throwing festival and watch the stage performances. For this year Thingyan, all situations are facing contradictions. With a threat by the pandemic of COVID-19 around the world, Myanmar government has announced not to build pandals in order to avoid public gatherings. On 23rd March, Ministry of Health and Sports in Myanmar confirmed the first 2 positive cases for COVID-19 within the country. People are more aware of infection and are more likely to stay at home.
နေ့တိုင်းကတော့ဒါရန်ကုန်ဆေးရုံကြီးတို့တခြားတိုင်းနယ်ပြည်နယ်ဆေးရုံတွေအကုန်လုံးမှာတော့
Every year at Yangon General Hospital and other public hospitals, regions and states, there are more patients during Thingyan. Mostly there are more cases of vehicle accidents, fights, overdrinking, and sometimes drowning.
In 2018, during the Thingyan Festival, there were 843 accidents happened due to different reasons, and 18 cases were brought dead. In 2019, the accidents rate raised to 914 in number, but the cases of being brought dead decreased to 6. The health issues will be changed because of the infection of coronavirus for this year Thingyan Festival. Although there will be likely to be lesser number of incidents because of non-huge pandals disallowed to be built in the towns, the people should stay alert to the spread of the infection.
ကူးစက်ပြန့်နှံ့မှုမရှိအောင်လုပ်တဲ့အထဲမှာတစ်ခုအနေနဲ့နီလန်တစ်ခုကတော့လူစုလူဝေးတွေကိုတကယ်တော့
One of the preventions of the infection is to control the mass gatherings. From the perspective of health, it is good not to build the pandals during Thingyan. This will help the people reduce contacts with each other. We welcome this action. You may say that Thingyan is a traditional festival, but in the past, the traditional festival was not celebrated like this. There were no huge pandals, no stage performances, and no mass gatherings. You can simply participate just by doing good deeds of your own.
For those who have intention to play water throwing at their own, they should be aware of not getting heat stroke, which can cause fever not to be confused with the symptoms of COVID-19.
ရေမကစားခင်ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ကျန်းမာရေးအခြေအနေလေးပေါ့နော်ကျန်းမာရေးအခြေအနေလေးဆိုတာ
If you have intention through water, you should check your health first. Make sure what you're feeling, fever or cough or sore throat. If you are not feeling well, you should not play water in order to protect the others. If you doubt yourself about not feeling good, you can come to the health centers to check your health. We all should stay alert to any cases of COVID-19, and we have more healthcare providers and other staffs on duty, so we make sure to have enough medical supplies.
Moreover, the volunteering groups are ready to provide medical cover during Thingyan. Yangon's biggest medical cover volunteer organization, Yangon Rescues Organization (YRO), is also to help for the public health issues.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီမြို့နယ်လိုက်ခွဲပြီးချမယ်ပေါ့နော်နေရာချထားပြီးတော့မှကျွန်တော်တို့အများအတွက်ကူညီမယ်
We will stand by at the important and crowded corners of each township to provide immediate medical cover. Moreover, 30 professional first aid providers of our organizations will assist at the Yangon General Hospital during Thingyan. We have been doing this voluntary work for 4 years now. We are to place the basins with water and soap at the crowded corners of the town. We have 6,000 volunteers and 386 registered ambulances.
For any emergency cases, hospitals are responsible for medical treatment for around-the-clock 24 hours, and volunteer groups are always eager to help. So people should be aware of personal health, especially COVID-19 infection, and of any accidents during the water throwing festival, Thingyan. This is Laura Susan from MI Radio.
Well, let's move on to the last report before we go to the international news. The Yangon branch of the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China donated disposable face masks to Myanmar's Ministry of Health and Sports. The donation ceremony took place last Wednesday at the Chinese embassy in Yangon. The ministry is to distribute the donated 150,000 masks to respective areas in need. Dora Sweden has more.
The Yangon branch of the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China (ICBC), which is the Chinese major international bank and the only Chinese-funded bank in Myanmar, donated 150,000 disposable medical masks to the Ministry of Health and Sports in Myanmar. The donation ceremony took place on 8 April at the Chinese embassy in Yangon, and it was attended by Mr. Chen Hai, Chinese ambassador to Myanmar, Professor Dr. Zhou Tantong, Director General of Department of Medical Research of the MoHS, Mr. Hang Bi-chin, the CEO of ICBC Yangon branch, and staff from the embassy and the ICBC.
ICBC 践行社会责任，传承胞波情谊。那么这次
Being an important bank of China, the ICBC carrying out its social responsibility is to support China-Myanmar Buffer friendship. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in Myanmar, Chinese government and other Chinese society here are providing aid to Myanmar. We wish that under the leadership of State Councillor Daw San Suu Kyi, Myanmar wins the battle against COVID-19.
中缅两国呢，泡沫情深，有着。
The people of China and Myanmar are always in a good relationship. When the epidemic broke out in Wuhan city of China, the Myanmar government and the members of the society donated money and materials to China to support the fight against the epidemic. As the ICBC to actively fulfill its social responsibilities, we purchased masks and other anti-epidemic materials from China for the first time and donated them to the Ministry of Health and Sports of Myanmar. We are willing to share the hardships and overcome the difficulties with the people of Myanmar.
Since the disease is caused by the new coronavirus, new reagents are highly in need. Moreover, because this is the pandemic, every nation is striving to produce the medical equipment for its own use. So Myanmar is facing with limited medical equipment.
All around the world, every nation produces the reagents for their local use, and we have limited reagents and limited laboratory examination. Moreover, we need medical masks for the citizens. infected persons without symptoms can be the secret virus spreader. So wearing masks is important to contain local transmission. We will distribute the donated masks to the respective places of regions and states as soon as we receive them in hand. We are in need of reagents, PPEs, masks, and testing kits. We have received so much aid from China since we are the good neighbors indeed.
The outbreak of the virus caused the key projects of China and Myanmar pause, and there are some economic impacts on some Myanmar factory as well. As the biggest commercial bank of China, the ICBC expressed the potential of future economic bond between the two countries after the pandemic.
We believe that the Myanmar government is in place to grasp the development and changes of the domestic epidemic situation and the various measures against the prevention and control of the epidemic situation have been properly dealt with. The emergence of the epidemic will inevitably have a certain impact on the production of China-Myanmar key projects. However, in the long run, the economic structure of China and Myanmar is highly complementary, and the fundamentals of further economic and trade cooperation between the two countries will remain unchanged. It is necessary to pay close attention to the economic development and financial market situation in China and Myanmar. The ICBC will arrange a credit plan according to the development and changes of the epidemic situation and provide high-quality banking services as always to ensure that the financial links between China and Myanmar are not affected and jointly promote the health economic development of China and Myanmar.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the ICBC actively participated in the prevention and control of COVID-19 in Myanmar by providing green channel to donation fund and releasing some analysis about COVID-19 effect on Myanmar financial market. That's all for now. This is Dora Suisin from MI Radio.
And that's all we have for today's reports. Let's check on some international news now. Peter Foster, a geneticist at the University of Cambridge, has identified 3 distinct strains of COVID-19. Foster and his team traced the origins of the epidemic by analyzing 160 genomes from human patients and found that the strain in Wuhan mutated from an earlier version.
What I wanted to do in this research, together with my colleagues, is to identify the original viral genome, the original viral genome type, because the virus mutates, it changes, and you get variants arising, and which is the original one. Because all these mutations have happened without anybody realizing a disease is among us. This is in, the first genome that we have is from Christmas Eve in 2019, which is 24th of December, obviously, and what came before that, we don't know. That is the aim of the paper, and what we have reconstructed is the network of possible trees, how it evolved. We've got all the realistic trees included in this network at one glance, which is what other methods can't do. And then we apply what we call an outgroup. That means an independent non-human virus, which tells us inside this cluster of trees, which is the oldest virus genome. Yeah. And as an outgroup, you need something which is non-human. So what do you take? You take the bat coronavirus, because that's very closely related to us. And if you apply that, you find out that a location in the network, which we've called type A, is the original type that would have infected humans.
Okay.
And then it would mutated and change into a type B. This type B was then the first genome to be picked up in Wuhan when the disease became apparent. Researchers might be forgiven for thinking at the time that B is the original type, but actually it's not. It's type A, which in Wuhan is only a minority type, but B has become the majority type during the outbreak. And that is mutated further into C. Now, the C type is not found in the early phase of the outbreak in China. It is found outside. For example, it's well represented in Singapore.
In other news, The fight against coronavirus requires global solidarity, but American politicians are using the outbreak to score political points against China. The media is not doing a satisfactory job either. In a recent Gallup poll, only 44% of Americans approved of the media's coverage, ranking it last in all the country's institutions. How is the US reshaping the coronavirus narrative? Take a look at the video to find out more.
The fight against any pandemic requires global solidarity. This is common sense. But as coronavirus infections escalate in the U.S., the propaganda campaign within the country and against China intensifies. An analysis of politicians' remarks and media reports found 3 golden rules in U.S. attempts to shape the coronavirus narrative. Rule 1. Politicizing the virus. Despite scientists' warnings, U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed the virus, calling hysteria over it a Democratic hoax.
This is their new hoax. We have lost nobody to coronavirus in the United States.
While accusing Democrats of politicizing the outbreak, Trump did not waste the chance to attack his rivals.
The Democrat policy of open borders is a direct threat to the health and well-being of all Americans. Now you see it with the coronavirus.
Politicized. Anything to it. Pro-Trump media immediately chimed in with the president. They first misled the public that the coronavirus is no more dangerous than the seasonal flu.
At worst case scenario, it could be the flu.
I feel like the more I learn about this, the less there is to worry about.
I was about to say the same thing.
The standard flu every single year kills tens of thousands of Americans.
And then claimed panic over the virus was to sink the economy and hurt Trump's chances of re-election.
Both of those residents were elderly and had traveled internationally. So when you hear the context, it's not quite as scary.
Just looking for any and every way possible to bash President Trump.
Rule number 2, play the blame game. As the outbreak spiraled, the Trump administration desperately lashed out to cover up its mismanagement. As the virus was first found in China, the country has become the top pick in Washington's selection of scapegoats. Despite the fact international experts are still tracing the origin of the virus, Trump and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo have repeatedly called it a Chinese virus.
Chinese virus. Chinese virus. The whole world is suffering because of it.
This is the Wuhan coronavirus that's caused us in the...
China's anti-virus efforts are recognized by international organizations and governments. Its strict quarantine measures are believed to have been vital in curbing the spread of the disease, and its experiences have informed policy around the world.
Hundreds of thousands of people in China did not get COVID-19 because of this aggressive response.
It's a remarkable response that's being organized in China to contain the virus.
But the U.S. is deliberately turning a deaf ear to it. For American politicians, underscoring China's missteps has been a, quote, time-tested approach to distance themselves from critics. Rule number 3, protecting the U.S.'s image. As coronavirus spread across the globe, the U.S. started to position itself as the, quote, greatest humanitarian the world has ever known. A State Department cable obtained by the Daily Beast reveals the White House is pushing officials to paint U.S. antivirus response as, quote, extraordinary humanitarianism.
The State Department continues to do an enormous amount of work to review developments inside and outside of China and to help countries who have been stricken by the virus.
We're offering them tremendous help. We have the best in the world for that. We've done a tremendous job.
But is it the case? At least for China, the answer is no.
美国政府官员在多个场合曾经表示，将向包括中国在内的有关国家提供1亿美元的抗疫援助。别的国家是否收到我不清楚，但我可以明确地告诉你，迄今为止，中方从未收到来自美国政府的资金和援助。
In the face of a global pandemic, it's time for solidarity, facts, and moving forward together. But some American politicians and media outlets are trying to tell the world a different story by reshaping the coronavirus narrative.
On Friday, US President Donald Trump said he would be facing his biggest decision yet when determining when to reopen the US economy, which is currently under lockdown due to the rapid spread of COVID-19 in the country. When asked about the metrics he would use to make that decision, Trump pointed to his head and said, and I quote, "The metrics right here. That's my metrics. That's all I can do." As confirmed cases topped over 500,000, the US now has the world's highest death toll due to novel coronavirus infections, surpassing that of Italy's, which had previously occupied the top spot. Recently, President Trump has come under increasing media scrutiny for his administration's mishandling of the crisis dominated by internal divisions, over-reliance on bad instincts, and an obsession to shape the public narrative. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe, help yourselves to help the world. Happy Myanmar New Year, everyone. I'll see you again. Goodbye.